Coming up on Mochas with MAGA.
Wait. Don't use me for an example, because I pleaded guilty because I was guilty. He's a dangerous threat. He's a dangerous narcissist. You're not really recognizing that you're in a cult.
Welcome to episode 4 of Mochas with MAGA, and wow, do I have something special in store for you. I've talked to hundreds of MAGA supporters, but I've never talked to a former MAGA supporter, someone who's pulled themselves out of the Trump cult and is now speaking out against it. And they've pulled themselves so far out of it that they're now a fan of the Luke Beasley show. And that's what I have for you today. Mochas with former MAGA Pam Hemphill served 2 months in prison for breaching the Capitol, now admitting that she was in a cult, which is why she behaved in that way. And Trump even used her as an example to shout out of January 6th defendants being treated poorly, to which she responded, quote, "Please, at real Donald Trump, don't be using me for anything. I'm not a victim of January 6th. I pleaded guilty because I was guilty. Hashtag stop the spin." And ever since she came out of the cult, she has been publicly warning Americans of the danger of it, saying in a Newsmax interview, quote, "Trump is a dangerous, and I mean a dangerous narcissist. He needs to be put in prison. In my opinion, he has committed crimes and needs to be held accountable. He's not above the law." With that being said, I'm joined now by Pam Hemphill. Explain, if you would, what brought you to the Capitol on January 6th, and as you reflect on that day, what is your takeaway or your primary takeaways?
Well, what brought me that day actually was a buildup for the last 4 years prior to that day. But I had been told that I had to go start chemotherapy in about 2 weeks. So my family called me and said, "How would you like to go and videotape Trump?" Because that's what I've been doing for a long time, is out there as like a citizen journalist videotaping events. And I said, I'd love to do that, because it's just going to be a rally. You know, that's all it was going to be, was a rally. It would be safe, because I had already gone through surgery, and I had to make sure that if I'm going there, is it going to be a safe time and place to go? You know, that was the only reason.
Gotcha.
And to see the Lincoln Memorial
and
make it fun.
From your past interviews, I've seen you at least reportedly refer to yourself as sort of like a former Trump cultist. You did identify, or you do now retrospectively, as in a cult during that time. Is that accurate?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I didn't recognize it, though, at the time. You're not really recognizing that you're in a cult, because you think of a cult like some leader, spiritual leader, or a group. You know, you don't look at a president as being a cult leader, you know, at the time. It doesn't even come to you.
And we hear these, what I perceive to be fictitious stories of Biden's DOJ and specifically the FBI harassing poor Trump supporters for no reason and being so vicious. And Trump is now calling January 6th prisoners hostages. Explain your personal experience with the FBI.
Oh, yeah, I heard the story about me. They put it out there that a 69-year-old got dragged down the stairs. No. When the FBI showed at my door, there was maybe seven officers there, and I think one female. And my little dog goes running out. And I said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. Let's get this over with." I didn't know if I was going to be arrested or not. Some people were saying I was going to be, and some said I would not. So they came in, very professional. I don't like to say gentlemen, but they were just walked in. I said to the sergeant, I said, "Sir, I've never gone to jail in my life. I'm scared to death. Can I sit down and vape? I don't smoke, but I vape." And he said, "Sure, Miss Hemphill, go ahead and sit down." So I did. And I grabbed my phone. I said, "I got to call my family and tell them what's happened." He says, "No, Miss Hemphill, we can't allow you to do that. But I hope you understand that. Well, we have to take your phone." And I said, "Okay, sir." And then they let me vape. And then the female officer took me to the bathroom. She was, I don't like to say she was like a sister, but she was just so kind to me. I started crying. I was scared to death because I'd never been locked up. And she didn't touch me, like put her arms around me, but the feeling with her was like I was with my best girlfriend. You know, and she said, "It's going to be okay, Miss Hemphill." So those stories you hear about how they arrest people and drag them out is not with me. They treated me very professional and very well. And I appreciate how they treated me that day because I was emotionally a wreck.
And recount that experience you had on True Social with Trump saying that you were being victimized in unfair ways and how dare they, and how you responded.
Well, to be honest with you, people were telling me, you're not a victim, Pam. You had a choice that day, and I would be angry about it. But I started coming around and I realized they were right. There's no victims. I had a choice that day. And so I started hearing that from others. And then more and more news outlets were putting me out there. This poor 69-year-old with cancer, they arrested her and they're giving her more time than Hunter Biden. And I thought, wait, don't use me for an example, because I pleaded guilty because I was guilty. I'm taking responsibility for my own behavior that day, and I need to make amends for it. And so I got angry about that. I didn't like that.
That's great. So give us the rundown, because it feels so rare for people to change their beliefs in the way that you did. So give us the rundown of how you went from in the Trump cult to the point that you wanted to show up to that speech and going to the Capitol, all the way to speaking out against it. What was the turning point? How did that change happen for you?
Well, what I've realized is Trump started off by using fear. And so I started hanging out with that they were going to turn this country, the Democrats, into a communist nation. And I was out there videotaping in Boise, Idaho, and I came across Ammon Bundy, the rancher that stood up against the FBI. And I went to him and I said, look, I'm interested in the people's rights and standing up for our Constitution, but I don't break laws. And he said, neither do I, Miss Hemphill. Oh, yeah. But I didn't understand the far right at that time. But they give you all this fear that they're trying to take away our human rights and our constitutional rights. And then they start the love bombing. Trump has done that to everybody. And then gaslight you. Every time I would go and ask him questions, they say, oh, don't be listening to that news station, or don't read that article. They're all lying to you. So you kind of get pulled in and don't know you're getting pulled in. And that's what I regret so much, that I lost my own critical thinking, wasn't doing my own research. Just, some of the friends I had, they had 2 PhDs. You don't think to question them. And that's sad. We need to do more of that. And
was there a particular person or a few people who helped you in that realization?
No, what happened, even when I got out of prison, I wasn't totally turned yet. I was having some doubts and questions. What I was actually trying to help a J6 defendant, Ryan Samsel. There was an article out by Gateway Pundit that he had lost his eye. And I thought, that's not okay. Even if I'm against J6ers, I'm going to find out. And I did. I found out that was a lie. He called the guard the N-word. They beat him up. He got a black eye, which wasn't good that the officers did that. It's just that it was a total lie. And when I went to them and told them what I'd found out, that his gift send and go went up to $80,000 after he put out that story, that it was a grift and he's using everybody. And it's not true. He didn't lose an eye. That did it for me. And then that's when they started the smear campaign against me.
So it was sort of seeing that the people that gave you the foundation of beliefs that you were operating on top of lied about something so obviously, then you started questioning their other stances and beliefs.
Yeah, and then I started my own space, and some researchers and the sedition hunters came in and started telling me facts, because we made sure that that's all we were doing. It was bringing up facts, not gossip or propaganda about Trump and the J6 defendants and what was going on out there. And I thought, well, man, how did I get snowballed into all these lies? It's kind of sad, but they're good at it.
And I'm just curious, which outlets would you say you went to the most for that information at that time? Meaning, which media outlets deceived you the most?
Gateway Pundit, Fox News, all the right channels, Um, somebody told me stop listening to Mother Jones. I used to read Mother Jones. They're very they have a lot of facts, but they say, don't read that magazine no more. But mainly Fox News.
So then, I think I have gone to a lot of Trump rallies, talked to a bunch of Trump supporters, lots of Trump supporters in my life as well. And I just have found it so difficult, even if I feel like I'm good at explaining the facts and explaining where they're being misled, to move someone on their beliefs and convince them that they're in a political cult. What ways have you found effective, if you have found any, in convincing other hardcore Trump supporters to come out of it?
Well, what's been helpful is to read the book by Stephen Hansen on the cult of Trump. However, applying some of those tactics, they're in such denial. It's so deep. It's just like working with an alcoholic that doesn't want to get sober, or an addict. They don't want to hear you. They blank you out. You tell them some facts, and they dispute you, argue with you. They don't want to hear it. Their brain has been hijacked and brainwashed by Trump, and it's hard to get through to them right now. That's why I've been telling people, don't worry about trying to convince anybody of anything. Just get your friends to go vote, your Democrat friends and family, because I think they're too far gone right now for anybody to reach them.
I think I totally agree. There are so many people who are not in that bubble, who aren't going to vote, that we can spend our time much more effectively convincing to go vote, rather than trying to change the minds of millions of people who are likely not going to change their minds.
Yeah, they're not.
So then, in your mind, would you consider Donald Trump a threat to democracy?
Absolutely. He's a dangerous threat. He's a dangerous narcissist. Yes, I just got the book, on his mental health. They talk about these 26 psychiatrists and how his mental health is deteriorating, and it's getting worse every day. Yes, but he is dangerous. I mean, if you think about it, why did he want us to go down to the Capitol? And how was he able to get people to go down to the Capitol? He just had a speech. So everything I'm hearing from him right now, it's like, oh no, I hope nothing worse is going to happen, because all he has to do is one word, and there we go again, another January 6th, because they're all listening to him. Look at the Proud Boys. They put that on there. Stand
back and stand by.
Yeah. And they did. And they had it on a T-shirt. So, yes, he's very dangerous.
And so if you feel comfortable saying, who are you voting for in 2024?
Well, right now, definitely Biden, but there's no Republican. We've lost the Republican Party, especially with Project 2025. That's dangerous. I know a lot of Republicans I've talked to, they don't know about it, but I don't believe that they would be for that. So there's no Republican Party right now at all. It's gone, as far as I'm concerned.
That's one of the really unfortunate aspects of all this, that some of the willingness of the Republican Party to go along with Donald Trump is because of a lack of understanding of what he's doing and saying. And I've talked to so many Trump supporters who don't know he called for the termination of the Constitution, don't know really at all about the fake elector scheme, or what he was trying to get Mike Pence to do, or the pressuring of local officials to engage in fraud, or him saying that the government should come down hard on media outlets. All these things people aren't even aware of. Now, the unfortunate thing for a hardcore supporter is, even if you tell them about it, they'll have some reason that it's not a big deal. But I've read to Trump supporters, hey, Biden said this about terminating the Constitution. They hate it. And I'm like, actually, that was Trump. They're like, oh, never mind. But part of it is informing, I guess, what you would call moderate Republicans, independents, about what Trump's even planning on doing, because a lot of people don't understand, like you said, Project 2025, which to me is crazy because it's so existential. You would think people would focus on it.
Oh, I know. I've spoken to some Republicans and asked them if they knew about it. And these are educated Republicans. Said, I haven't heard about Project 2025. I said, oh, really? Will you please just look it up and read a little bit and get back with me and we'll talk about it? It's very dangerous. They want to make any president, not just, it doesn't matter if it's Trump, it's anyone that's elected, a dictator. And it's frightening. They want to take away our democracy. It's not what Republicans stand for. I don't know what's happening in our Congress, but they said, well, Pam, it's probably for our good. It's like, so that's why I'm at a point where I don't want to talk to these people. I want to educate everybody else, the Democrat side. So they'll get a hold of their representatives and say, do you know about this Project 2025? And what are you doing about it? Are you talking about how dangerous it is?
Yeah.
Because it's the MAGA, forget it. They don't hear you.
Right. Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for speaking out so bravely. I know you get threatened and all these horrible things said because you're willing to speak out, but it's incredible to see.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate it.